Hi guys, Raoni here. Today I'll be showing you how you can bake lighting, shadows, and other stuff to your textures using Blender. Today I will be using Blender 3.5 or 3.6 and I will be also providing a file for you to download so you don't have to um, get your own textures and models for this tutorial. So the files give you basically uh, this scene here. It's a dumpster, a pile of junk, rage, some electric things, a light lamp, an air conditioning unit, two walls, and a floor. So the first thing I like to do in order to bake lighting to textures is to mesh some objects together. So for this scene, we have 8 objects, 9 objects counting with the walls on the floor. So let's move this blend object to the objects collection and let's mesh some objects together. Let's pick this power box, this electric box, this light lamp, and this pipe. Press Ctrl J and we have our first merger object. Uh, let's rename this object like group object number 1. Let's hide it for now. Let's do the same thing for those objects. Let's select the pile of junk, the crate, the dumpster, the air conditioning unit as well. Let's press Ctrl J and let's call it group object 2. Let's hide it and the plane object, the object that contains the walls on the floor, is already merged together. So let's call it walls. It is step done. Let's now create a UV map for each of those objects. Uh, let's select group object number 1, press UV maps option and press the plus symbol and call it UV map 2. Let's do the same thing for the another 2 objects. So now we have to generate a UV map for the UV map that we have just created. In order to do this, I basically do a Smart UV project for each object, so I be able to automatically generate a UV map for my objects. So let's select group object number 1, press tab to enable edit mode, select all by pressing A, then by pressing U we can select the Smart UV project option. Margin method, let's leave it like scale and activate the skeleton bounds option and press OK. Let's do the same for the group object number 2. Let's press A, press U, Smart UV project, and press OK. Okay, let's do the same for the walls project. Okay, so we have our UV map created and generated. We can now create, bake our textures to each of those objects. For that, I will be I will be selecting one of the materials of the group object number 1, creating uh, an image texture for this object. Let's set it to 40 resolution, and let's call it the same name as our object, group object number 1. That's okay. And now it's very important that we load the UV map that you have just created previously. Let's select UV map number 2, connect UV to vector, select them both, press Ctrl C to copy them, and it's very important that you select the texture called group object number 1. Now let's copy and paste this node setup for the remaining 3 materials for the group object number 1. Let's press Ctrl V. Oops, I think I didn't. Okay. Let's press Ctrl C, select group object number 1, texture, and press I don't know why it isn't working. Now it's working. It's very important that you press the texture called group object number 1 once you have pasted the node setup. Press, press, press. I don't know which GPU uh, your computer has, but if you have a strong one, a powerful one, I recommend using optics for cycles handle device option, so you can handle a little faster. Also forgot to mention that the optics version is only available for NVIDIA cards. To have a AMD card, I think you will be using one of those options here. So I will select optics cycles handle devices option. Let's close it. Let's go to the handle properties and select the cycles engine. let's select the device to the GPU and let's bake the texture for the group object number 1. Again, select the object, browse through the materials of the object, and make sure to select the texture group object number 1. Let's select here, select this, select that, and select that. Done. Otherwise, the texture will not be baked, at least correctly. Let's press bake it, and let's wait the program bake the texture. Finish the baking of the textures. 39, 33, 60, 51, 80, 86, 100. So let's see how it looks. It's okay. Let's save this texture into a new folder. Let's call this folder uh, baked textures. And let's set the compression to 0. I don't want to compress my texture. Save as image and done. Now let's make the same procedure to the remaining objects. Let's select the group object number 2. Select the first material for this object, air conditioner 001. Let's create a texture for this object. Let's call it group object number 2 and press OK. Let's input of UV map that you have created for this object. Let's set it to UV map number 2 and connect UV to vector. Let's select those two nodes, press Ctrl C, select the texture called group object number 2. Let's paste the setup to the rest of the materials of the object. Make sure you select the texture called group object number 2. And let's replicate for the remaining materials. Alright. Okay. Now, same thing. Select the group object and press bake to bake the texture with the lighting, the shadows, the everything. Let's wait. I might have. No, I didn't. I didn't. 15 minutes. Okay. We have our second baked texture. Let's save as image. Let's set compression to 0. The format, let's leave it to as PNG mix, as PNG, and save as image. Now let's, for the last object, the object regarding the walls and the floor, let's create a texture, a mesh texture, press new, and call it walls. Press OK, and add a UV map node and set it to UV map number 2. Let's connect UV to vector, copy those two nodes, select the wall textures, and paste to the remaining materials of the walls object. Okay, okay, okay. Now let's select the walls object and bake the last texture. Let's wait. Okay, let's see of textures. Uh, Maybe in future I show I show to you how I make those scenes, how I arrange objects for creating those things. Um, yeah, maybe in future I will make a project of those scenes by uh, making them from scratch. So we got our class texture baked. Let's save as walls, file format PNG, save as image. Okay, we got all the three textures baked. Now you will delete the first UV map of each material. Walls. Let's delete it. UV map is deleted. Delete it. And now we got everything messed up. But don't worry, once we load it from the ZModeler, everything will be okay. Uh, let's let's export those objects as obj. Press the group object number 1, press F3, and let's export obj. Let's call it group object number one and select and enable this option to limit to selected only. Export with front obj. Let's replicate to the group object number two. Okay, and let's do the same for the walls object. Select that only. Make sure that this wall option is enabled. Okay, uh, our, our work on Blender is done. Now let's switch to the model. Let's import our objects. Uh, let's start with group object number one and make sure that use materials option is disabled and the option here uh, is no mesh split. Let's import and let's see. Oops. See our object here on Z modeler. Let's create a material for this object. Let's call it group object number one. Select the texture with the same name, group object number one. Let's load it, press OK, and let's disable this simple color mode option and activate the emissive color mode. Let's set everything to 255 and press OK. Let's call this object as group object number one and assign the material we just created for this object. And here we have the texture we have just baked in Blender. Let's import the group object number two of J and let's rename the object accordingly and create a material for this object. Same thing, set emissive to emissive as your color mode here and oops, let's add the texture group object number two dot png and press OK and assign the group object to material for the object with the same name. Here we have everything as expected. Oops. And now we'll be importing the last object, walls.obj. Let's rename it like walls and create a texture for this object. Oops. Let's add walls.png. Select OK and activate the emissive color mode for this material and set everything to 255. Press OK. And now let's set let's assign the last material for the last object. And here we have um, like we have all seen as we intended, all the shadows, all the lighting, all the reflections are baked. Um, there are a few bugs here, but um, it's no big deal. I can, you can uh, fix those bugs using Photoshop or another image editor of your preference. Um, so I think we got it correctly. Thanks for watching this video.